Hello, my students, and welcome to Madrassa again. My fourth year today, it is like to be continued. Of course, we are going to see, or we will finish our grammar concerning passive and active form. Of course, we are still in your unit, in your first unit. We remember together, before of course starting the rule and the forms as usual, we are going to, of course, to remember our unit. We have sequence 1. We see together sequence 1, the title. It was about, yes, me, universal landmarks and outstanding figures in history, literature and art. This was your first unit, or this is your first unit. Let's see together the title of your grammar tool. It is about active and passive forms, the second part. We saw last time the first part, the general idea about active and passive voice. Today we are going to see active and passive forms, part 2 or the second part. We will follow me. Good. We have present passive. We are going to see now passive form in present tense, in present simple. How do we form present passive? Let's see together the form and the rule. Of course, I will show you this form, this rule, by giving such examples. We have here example. What do we have? We have positive. Of course, firstly, I will show you some example in positive. We will take a form, we will form passive voice in positive. We will read together the example here. What do we have? John plays football. You see here, John plays football. What do we have here, my students? We note John is the subject. Play is a verb in which tense? Yes, good, in present simple. This is why we are studying present passive. This verb is in present simple. Why? Because it ends in S. John plays football. I want to transform this sentence into passive voice. So the sentence, follow me how the sentence will be. Yes. Okay. Football is played by John. You see here, my students? I started with the objects. Verb to be is. Why do I put here is? Yes, my students, very good, because football is singular. Football is singular. We say is. We cannot say are. Football are. No, it's not plural. It is singular. So we say football is played plus past participle of play. Of course, we don't have to throw this word. We cannot ignore these verbs. We put it in past participle. We form it in past participle. So, football is played by John. You can see here the arrow. Football object becomes the subject, and the subject John becomes the object. We say football is played by John. Is plus past participle. This is present passive. We take the form, so the form in present passive positive will be, yes, this is the form positive. It will be object plus, if the object is singular, we put is, are. If it is plural, is, are, plus past participle. We have here the past participle of the verb. The past participle of the verb which is in the sentence. Plus by, plus subject. Like we have just seen in our previous example. Football is played by Karim or by John. Okay? So we move to the next point. It is about what? Yes, another example. But this example is a negative. We are still in present simple. We are still in present simple. We are still in present passive. We have seen present passive in positive. The second point, present passive in negative. Show example. Emma doesn't wash her hands. Emma doesn't wash her hands. Okay? Emma doesn't wash her hands. This is an active negative sentence. Okay? Active form, the sentence is in negative. We will transform it to passive. Passive voice. So the sentence will be how? Yes, it will be like that. The arrow, the object here, the subject here, the verb. Good. Hands. We will start with hands. Follow me, my students. What do we have in hands? We have S. Very good. Hands are not washed by Emma. Very good. We have negative. Doesn't. We ignore. We delete doesn't. And we put are. Why do we put are, my students? Because we have hands, plural. It's not one hand. It is two hands. Hands are not washed. The verb wash, we put it in past participle. Hands are not washed by Emma. So from this example, the form will be present passive negative like that. The form negative. It will be object is am are plus not plus past participle plus by plus subject. So this is the passive, present passive in negative form. Following these rules, of course, we have the second part, which is past passive. We talk about together past passive, like the previous example. What do we have in past passive? We have an example, of course, the same thing. This is an example, past passive in positive form. Past passive in positive form, the same. This is an example. A fire destroyed. Destroyed, the verb is in the past. A fire destroyed most of building. A fire destroyed most of building. The verb is active and positive. There is no not. So destroyed. This is sentence is active. We change it to passive form. It will be good. Like that. Most of building, the object becomes the subject and the subject becomes the object. Most of building was destroyed by a fire. We have was destroyed by a fire. We have was, the past participle of verb destroyed. Object becomes the subject and the subject becomes the object, of course preceding with by. Most of building was destroyed by a fire. You can see here we can take the form and the form will be yes, like that. Form positive, it will be objects was or were. If it is singular, was. If it is plural, we put were. Plus past participle. The verb, we don't ignore the verb, we put it in past participle. Plus by, plus subject. So this is the form of past passive in positive. The next point. We have an example and we have negative. We will see together past passive negative form. It will be like that. Example. The students didn't organize the party yet. The students didn't organize the party yet. What do we have here? We have negative form, past simple. Did not organize the party yet. We will change it, of course. We will form it into passive form. It will be, don't forget my students, we have past passive negative. So the form will be, okay, the arrow object becomes the subject and the subject becomes the object. We have the verb, the phrase, the sentence will be like that. The party, singular, wasn't, was not. We have singular. The party wasn't organized, the past participle of the verb organized by students yet. By students. The party wasn't organized by students yet. So, this is an example. We can take the negative form passive voice in past passive as following. It will be form negative. It will be object was, were not. Object was, were not. Plus the past participle of the verb plus by plus subject. You see here? Object was, were not plus past participle plus by plus subject. Of course, after this brief explanation of present passive and past passive, either in positive or negative, we will do some exercise and of course, do it yourself, my 4th year. Let's get started our exercise. 1. I write the following sentences in passive form. I will show you the sentence, then you have to write them in passive form. Sentence 1. Picasso painted Guernica in 1937. This is a verb. In which tense? Good. It is in past simple. Is it positive or negative, the sentence? No, it is positive. So we have past passive positive. We go to the form of past passive positive. So the sentence will be, good, my students. It will be Guernica was painted, Guernica singular, was painted past participle by Picasso in 1937. Guernica was painted by Picasso in 1937. The next one. The Algerian writer Katib Yassin didn't publish Najma in 1954. Then what do you see here, my students? The Algerian writer Katib Yassin didn't publish Najma in 19. So the passive, it is negative and it is what? Past. It means past passive negative. The sentence will be very good. The sentence will be Najma wasn't published by the Algerian writer Katib Yassin in 1954. The last one. Karim doesn't write his lesson. Wow, doesn't write his lesson. The type, yes, the tense is in present simple. So, my students, the sentence will be how? Yes, lessons weren't written by Karim. Lessons weren't written by Karim. So, from this exercise, my students, hope you have enjoyed with me the lesson. Don't forget to subscribe, visit our Facebook page and site web. See you next time with a new lesson and the new grammar. So goodbye, my students.